Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our 2 newly released books, Football: A Love Story and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. On Thursday night, North Carolina travels to Heinz Field to take on the Pitt Panthers, and looking at some coaching points in this ball game, starting with North Carolina, I think it's going to be important for the Tar Heels to shrink this game. I think they're going to have to beat Pitt at their own game by sustaining drives, flipping field position if they don't score, and subsequently getting off the field on third downs. And I think that's one way they can put a lot of pressure on that Panthers offense. And one of the biggest battles I think they're going to have to win offensively is their talented wide receiver Quinshad Davis versus the outstanding cornerback Lafayette Pitts of Pitt. If they can win that battle on the outside, it opens things up for everyone else along the flanks. And this final point, I believe, is a crucial one for North Carolina. They can't allow themselves to get big boyed in the trenches. I think Pitt does a great job on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. And if North Carolina can't win up front on either side of the football, I think they could struggle in this game mightily. Now, looking at Pitt in this ball game, I think it's going to be important that they put North Carolina away very early in this matchup. North Carolina has a ton of offensive weapons, and right now, so far this season, Pitt has allowed everyone to stay around in the ball game. So I think if they can put these guys away early and keep their foot on the gas, they can win this ball game. And Marquise Williams, you want to make him beat you throwing the football. He's a dual threat athlete. You look at what he also has in the backfield, Elijah Hood, a talented sophomore tailback. They want to run the football, operate off play action, make him beat you throwing the football, and that all goes to their defensive line, doing a great job in winning up front. And they also have to win the special teams battle. You know North Carolina has one of the more talented punt returners in Ryan Switzer. You want to keep him bottled up and don't allow them to work with a half field offensively. If they can win the special teams battle, I think they have a great chance in coming away victorious. But I do like North Carolina in this ball game. Too many offensive weapons, I think, will keep Pitt off balance defensively. They'll spread out that Panther defense and be able to take shots deep down the field. And I think Marquise Williams' mobility will prove to be a huge problem for the Panthers to match up against. Another big battle in the ACC as Clemson travels to North Carolina State. And for Clemson in this ball game, you want to make Jacoby Brissett beat the blitz. You want to speed up his decision-making process for him, allow him to get rid of that football quickly. That way you can rally up and make the tackle. Offensively, I would play more of the power game. I think Clemson has the personnel to run double tight downhill, and I think that's how they can take advantage of this interior defensive line of North Carolina State. And one of the biggest X factors for North Carolina State is their H-back, fullback, tight end, Jalen Samuels, and how they're going to match up against him. That's going to be crucial in this ballgame for Clemson. How they match up versus Samuels and take him out of the equation could ultimately determine how well they do defensively. And for the Wolfpack in this ballgame defensively, I think they have to close the door on Deshaun Watson. Now, he's not a quote-unquote true dual-threat guy that gets out there and does a lot of damage with his legs, but he does enough to where he extends the play in the passing game. You want to force him to step up in the pocket and not out. Close the door and keep him contained in that tackle-to-tackle box. And they have to maximize their offensive possessions. This is an offense they're facing in Clemson that can score points at will. And you want to make sure when you have the football, you put points on the scoreboard, whether that's 3 or 7. You have to come away with points every time you possess the football. And you want to keep strong safety Josh Jones on the move. I think he can be the X factor defensively for the Wolfpack, being a pseudo spy on Deshaun Watson back there in the pocket and also being utilized on blitzes versus the run. I still like Clemson in this ball game. I think right now the Tigers are one of the more complete football teams in all of college football. They can run the ball very well. Their passing game is excellent. Defensively, they can get pressure, they can stop the run, and they can match up one-on-one anywhere across the board. And I think they'll go down to NC State and knock off the Wolfpack. An intriguing matchup here between Vanderbilt and the Houston Cougars taking place in Houston. And starting with Vanderbilt in this ballgame, they have to stay assignment sound. They're playing a zone read offense in the Houston Cougars. And if they're not assignment sound, they can get gashed for big plays. And I think that ties into the second point, that defensively they have to take away one of those decisions from Greg Ward Jr., the quarterback, the outstanding quarterback of the Cougars. Make him decide instantly what he wants to do with the football. You can read aggressively on the fly, because if you wait, if you're hesitating defensively, that's a win for this Cougars offense. And I think Vanderbilt has to pay off with touchdowns this week in the red zone. I know points add up, but you need 7 if you want to knock off the Houston Cougars, who can't put up points in a hurry. And for Houston in this ball game, Greg Ward Jr. has to hit passes early to get into a passing rhythm. I think that's one way they can open up the ball game. Loosen up that box a little bit by throwing the football and allowing Ward to get into that groove early. And that way he can have his success running the football later. I think it's a very important piece of the puzzle how they start this football game. Vanderbilt's defense, I think, is very solid and solid enough to slow down this Cougars offensive attack. So that's why it's important that they get off to a great start in the first quarter, put this game out of reach, or put that Vanderbilt offense in the bind to where they're going to break their own tendency and try to play catch up versus this Cougars offensive attack. And winning on first down defensively backs up Vanderbilt's offense. You're going to take them, again, out of their tendencies to where they're going to pass more often than they want to, and I think that's a win for the Cougars defense. Was almost tempted to go with an upset here, but I think Houston avoids the letdown and is able to play a very close game versus Vanderbilt. Look for Kenneth Farrell, the tailback of Houston, to have a huge day running the football. I think the Cougars will grind this one out versus the Commodores.